तो ठीक है, अब आ रहा है, अब ऑडियो।
Hello. So, has the team got it right? Sure. So, welcome all of you to one more session from INV on one of the burning topics on Earth. We'll talk about it in detail, but before that, some stories which support our understanding about what are we going to talk about today. BIM, Building Information Modeling. Three words which, in a way, decide and define how human civilization has always been. As the primitive man, we have always believed that we'll build and we'll build architectures, we'll build constructions, we'll build our very own engineering structures, starting as early as a single house to today's day and age wherein we are doing real estate taken care by a huge number of private stakeholders. We believe that building is a process in motion. We believe that building today is not just a skill, not just an ability, but today it is a transformation of imagination to reality. Today, building is the manifestation of our creative imagination. Today, building is realizing what a human mind could virtualize for itself. Today, building is an ability to transform our very basic sense of dwelling, our very basic sense of understanding. Will also be entailing the specifics of how this sense of building has transformed over the ages and over the years, and how that also started thinking and talking about data. Data is something that we have all been talking about. Data is also something that we have all been cribbing about. But when we talk about building information modeling, information is what connects building with models. Information is the data which transforms our understanding into reality. Information is what takes data to formats which are recoverable, which have value, which have recognition. Information is what makes it interoperable. Information is what makes buildings dynamic. Information is what makes buildings intelligent. Information is what makes them diverse and less regressive. Information is what makes it a sense of continuity. Building information modeling would basically be a confirmation of the fact that our buildings today have information integrated with data, data integrated with intelligence, and intelligence integrated with the sense of customer satisfaction. Models. The day we thought there could have been a building, the day we thought it could have had some information, the day we thought we could collaborate in collecting that information and building our eventual buildings, what we got out was models. Models which were complete, models which had a representation, models which knew what information was to be fed into the eventual buildings. Without further ado, and in about 2.5 minutes from now, we are going to be live on Facebook, YouTube, and different other social media accounts to take this message of BIM and the universe which we want to equip with BIM forward with people, processes, softwares, and programs. For us, BIM is going to be defined in the next 25 minutes by none other than one of our own specialists in BIM, Mr. Adnan Ghori, who will take the message of BIM in as simple a format as possible, because simple things are the most difficult to explain, but simple things have the greatest scalability. BIM for us represents opportunity. BIM for INV represents the next age of construction, architectural, and engineering excellence. And BIM for us is the necessity of the eco industry. BIM is what we are going to define for the next 35 minutes of our interaction. We'll expect as many conversational questions as possible. We might not be able to answer each one of them on the go, but what we'll try is to at least give each answer to every question that you ask in the comment sections below. We'll try to keep on answering them on the go too. Please help Adnan with his activities today. He's a bit nervous, but he's hugely equipped to answer all your queries on the very exciting paradigms of building information modeling. Over to Adnan for now.
Like,
Hello, am I audible? Live है. Yeah. Hello everyone. So today we are discussing over the tech talk on BIM. So first of all, whatever the questions you might face during this entire session, you can ask me anytime, right? So I'll try to answer all those questions one by one. Yeah. So what is BIM? BIM is basically an intelligent model-based process that provides insight for creating and managing buildings and infrastructure projects faster, it's more economically and with lesser environmental impacts, right? So in the easier term, how can I explain to all of you what BIM is? Suppose we are trying to build a virtual model of a building. So we make it a physical construction. So we build it virtually well before it goes on the site, right? So let me give you an example of how the construction industry steps in over it. Yeah, just a minute. So this is how the customer explained it. The customer wants to have something like this, and how the project manager understands it, right? The project manager understands it as a something, the structure like this. Now how the engineer designed it, it's like a tree cutting, and how the programmer wrote it, it's like it's linked up with something, a tree, and there's a logic behind it, right? How the sales executive embarked it. As we all know, the sales executive wants to display in an overwhelmed or like fashionable manners, so that's how they explain to the customers. How the project was demonstrated. Obviously, as you all know, the project gets demonstrated on 2D plans. We use the AutoCAD for it, right? So there's no link up or there is no interoperability between the stakeholders or between the communication by the people and the different professionals that are involved on the site or off the site. How it is executed on site. This is how the project is actually executed on site. I am addressing the issues that construction industries faces while they deliver any project. How the customer was built. So this is a roller coaster ride. The customer was built up very high at the starting, and it decreases at the peak of time. As the time passes on, the customer was built more high or expected than what it was expected before or planned before. The actual construction cost goes way higher. And how the support system works. There was no support system for it, right? So this is how the support system for the actual construction industry is. So if there's any problem in a CAD drawings or something in any documentations, the customer who is responsible for that? The draftsman team or the designing team, right? Or the site engineer. But what the customer really wants or the customer really needs is something like this. So that's the challenge. That's the challenge that construction industry is facing right now. Okay. So we will get back to our topic, the BIM. BIM, that is building information modeling, is going to be one of the most hot topic in the near future. And the BIM is something that everyone can learn and understand it. So what is BIM? These are the software tools that most of the students and the professionals and even the educators gets confused that BIM is a software, or BIM is a tool, or BIM is a process. So what I actually looks at what BIM is. BIM is an integration of process, the people, and the software itself, isn't it? And the tools that I used for explaining or presenting what BIM is, these are the various software tools. The one you can find here is the facility management, or the architecture, or the structure, or the MEP part. These are the different tools that we use in the BIM projects. Suppose the most common tool that we all know is the AutoCAD, right? But AutoCAD doesn't gives an interoperability to every stakeholder or every people around you, or the people who knows how to deliver a project. So at that point of time, the Revit comes in. So what is Revit? Revit is one of the most widely BIM software tool, isn't it? It's just a tool. The way we revolves around Revit is the more of the people and more of the process. So how we are collaborating it, right? Suppose there is a structure engineer who knows and who works on the StatPro or the ETABS, and there's an architect who works on AutoCAD, while there's another architect who works on the AutoCAD and 3D Max or SketchUp for giving a shape to a model, isn't it? But how we can collaborate all this together so that the customer knows well about it, how its project is going to be, isn't it? So if I try to list down the basic uses of BIM, those are the visualization that we use. But in the actual industry, what tool or software we use for the visualization, that is something 3D Max or the SketchUp. But 3D Max or SketchUp provides just how the project or a model looks like. You can render it and just show it to the cloud, but that image or a model doesn't carry any information, isn't it? That Akib sir is telling about what information and data is. So that's what we found in the Revit itself. Revit contains all the information necessary to convey to the stakeholders, convey that idea or the conceptual to the stakeholders, right? The first and foremost benefit of using the BIM is the visualization. You can visualize the project in an efficient way. You can also change if any changes are there. You can also change the model the way you want to, the way customer wants to change it. The other benefit of BIM is something drawing generation. So if we take an example of the traditional CAD practices, from the AutoCAD we produce one plan like first floor plan, second floor plan, ground plans, and the elevations and the sections, isn't it? But when it comes to the construction side, many a times the plans get revised. Those plans that gets revised are often misunderstood by the site engineer or the design team, and there's not a proper communication or the flow of information between them. So these changes are not reflected on the CAD. At the time, the site engineers uses his own expertise and his own experience to convey and execute the project. So that's where the BIM is very helpful, and BIM can be used with different software tools. Suppose you take an example of Revit or then Archicad, or there are Allplan and Bentley softwares as well. You can use them. Then if there's any changes to a part, suppose let's take an example of a wall. Suppose the owner doesn't like the color of a wall, or the size have to be increased from 230 mm to suppose 300 mm. So these changes are not reflected on the CAD plans. These changes can be easily edited and modified in the Revit itself. And from the Revit model, we produces a set of drawings that are easily connected or interconnected with the different stakeholders, and that will be distributed on the site, right? So if you want to produce a single drawing, then the AutoCAD is good for you. But if your project have a lot of drawings and changes in it, then you have to go through a process in which the information can be communicated to the people or the stakeholders involved in it. At that time you can produce as many drawings as possible. Okay. So these are basically the software tools that BIM uses. Let's take an example of one more software tool, that's the ETABS. Most of the structural engineers work nowadays on ETABS. Even the Shapoorji and the L&T Construction, they have transitioned from StatPro to the ETABS. Why? Because it's creating a model, and the StatPro works on the nodes itself. So ETABS and the Revit have good interoperability. That's how an architect and structural engineer connects, isn't it? You make a model on architecture platform or an architect software, that is Revit, and you connected it with the ETABS and export the model to the ETABS and do the structure analysis, and then you came back to the Revit itself and you produce the drawings as you want to require for the site. Another example of BIM is the automation. Suppose there's a repetitive task that you have to perform in your office, that consists of creating or managing a drawing or making some schedules or quantities extraction, right? So these repetitive tasks can be automated with the tool called Dynamo. Then what is Dynamo? Dynamo is the visual programming software used by the AECO industry professionals. The AECO industry professionals, I mean the architecture, engineering and the construction professionals who use this softwares, who use this tool to automate the repetitive tasks performed by them. Okay. Another example of it is the construction management. Construction management, when it comes to construction management, every student or a professor have an idea of like, it may be we can study in the colleges like NICMAR or IRSCS or any other construction management programs paid by IIT or something, but you don't pay one attention that those courses that teach you what construction management is are including BIM in their curriculum itself, right? So what we are transitioning from construction management, there are construction managers or the project managers in any construction industry or site project, but now those managers are being the job roles are being changed for construction managers to the BIM project managers, right? So most of the jobs or the jobs in the construction industry will become obsolete. What are those jobs? Those jobs, one of the basic job that every construction industry, every person wants to have is of the AutoCAD draftsman. The AutoCAD draftsmen will get replaced by BIM modelers or the Revit modelers itself. Where an AutoCAD draftsman use the AutoCAD software and he drafted a plan inside it. What Revit modelers does, Revit modelers automate that process by making a model, and from that model it produces the drawings, and from that drawings they create the shop drawings itself. And what are those shop drawings? Shop drawings are those drawings that is sent to the site for actual execution of a project, right? So this is what the BIM is all about, and the BIM doesn't limit here. The BIM is used for the buildings and it also used for the infrastructure projects as well. Let's move on to the next slide. BIM project workflow. So this is the BIM project workflow. To work in the BIM environment, you need to be very familiar with how the process is. This is what the process of BIM looks like. First of all, we get the input as a data from the consultants. So what the data we get from the consultants? We in the form of drawings or in the form of sheets or in the form of BOQ, that is bill of quantities. Those data is then transferred and studied by a BIM team on site. Okay, on site I mean in the office, and that data has been studied, and then the modeling is being done. The model is then prepared. That model is called an architectural model, or the MEP, or the services model. Right. The first step in BIM project workflow. It's we get and extract the input in the form of a soft copy, and then we study them. We study those drawings, how we can align the workflow of the BIM project workflow in it, and then we make the models. One can be the architectural model that is prepared by our architectural team. Second will be the structural modeler that is prepared by a structural team. Then there will be a MEP model. All these models are then prepared, and the quality control is being done on it. If there is any issue, or if there is any fault, or if there is any changes, then it's sent back to the modeling team. We'll model it again, and then we extract the BOQ for architecture and structure, isn't it? We will extract BOQ for services. What do you mean by services? Services is nothing but MEP, and MEP is what? That is the mechanical, electrical and plumbing part of the BIM model. Then we export that model for a clash detection, and then that clash detection is being performed in the Navisworks itself. First we move from the AutoCAD, then from the AutoCAD we came to the Revit, and from Revit we came to the Navisworks, and in the Navisworks we perform this clash detection. Now what Navisworks does is, Navisworks exactly identifies where the clashes are being, and then we export that clashes in the form of an HTML format, or suppose XML format, or in the textual format, you can say. And those clashes are being solved by the modeling team. If the clashes is between the MEP component or the structure component, then a RFI is to be sent to the stakeholder who is responsible for looking out at that clash, and that message is to be communicated to our modeling team. And when the clashes is being resolved, then the clash tree model is being ready, and from that clash tree model we extract BOQ for the services. Right. First we extracted BOQ for the architecture and structure part, then we extract the BOQ for the MEP part. So why we are doing is, we get the actual quantities out of that BIM model, you can say. Then we export that 3D model for the 2D services output. We compare those things. In the input we get the 2D output in the form of the drawings, and the output is also a 2D. So that's what a site engineer will get. That is the 2D drawings in the form of CAD plans. We did the quality control, and then it's finally pushed on to the client or the fabrication or the customers that we have on site. So if we try to look at what BIM projects are happening in India. So these are some of the BIM projects that are being already done and completed in India, isn't it? The power plants in Vidarbha, Chennai, Kolkata, in Nagpur Metro, in Karnataka, in Navi Mumbai, in the Hyderabad. There are a lot of BIM projects happening in India and around India. If I ask you one single question, that what's one of the biggest BIM project in India is? Can any one of you explain that? What could be the one of the biggest BIM project in India? That is Nagpur Metro. The place where I belongs to is Nagpur, and the biggest BIM project that is happening in India is the Nagpur Metro. Do you know what's the planned status of completing that project? The status of completing that project is by 2019, and it's on time and on budget. And also that project saves almost 10% of the cost with the help of BIM. And there's also a 8% of savings in time with the help of BIM. Right? There's a $60,000 saved because of using the technology called BIM. And that technology is nothing but 5D BIM. Okay, then I'll tell you what 5D is. 5D is for the cost. When there's an aspect of time and the cost, then it comes to a 5D part. So this is what the BIM or the BIM projects are happening around the India itself. If we look at the global market scenario from 2013 to 2018, the projected revenue for BIM is $5 billion. The projected revenue for the BIM is $5 billion by the time it reaches 2018, and it's already been $4.7 billion as of now. So this was a study or the source we got from the Technoview analysis. You can see on the graph that is showing 2018, and it's have a $4.7 billion of the industry or the revenue on it. And if you have any query of any comment or any questions you want to ask in this live seminar, you can directly ask to me and I'll answer it as soon as possible. Okay. Then there's another world market scenario that is predicted till 2020, and this till 2020 it is expected to be $8 billion by the time it reaches 2020. So as of now in 2018, it's already reached up to the $4.7 billion, and soon it's going to reach $8 billion by the year 2020. Okay. So yeah. So if any one of you have any query about, they can connect on the video itself. If they have any doubts or any questions to ask. Yeah, they can comment below. So this is how what people perceive about India. You can clearly see here that India is being regarded and being called as the world's BIM model shop. Okay, so what happens in India? There are most of the BIM projects are being outsourced from India to the countries like UK, USA, or UAE. These are the countries that are implementing and mandating BIM in their projects, and these projects are being done by our own Indian peoples who are called as the world's model shop. So we make those BIM models and we forward it to the UAE or the Germany or the UK clients. So what's the present scenario of the mandates in all over the world? That is, USA are giants and still accelerating at a much higher speed in the BIM process, and most of the projects in UK, USA, or you can say the Singapore are happening. So I am getting few queries on YouTube that please tell us about how can I be. Okay. We're announcing the name. Saurabh Sesha, please tell us about how can I be a part of the BIM trend. Okay, so Saurabh, you can be a part of BIM trend. So for you, if you want to, if you want to excel in the BIM, you can start by understanding what BIM is first of all. Okay, so if you want to be a part of BIM, then you have to be technically sound in the subject that you are learning. I want to ask, assuming that you are a civil engineer or an architect, or you are studying an architecture subject, right, or the mechanical engineering subject. So each of these subjects have a different set of disciplines, and the BIM has a lot to offer for them. It's not only the civil or the architect people who learns BIM, and there are many other disciplines as well who can contribute in the BIM itself. There are computer engineers, the IT persons who made the APIs or the add-ins for the BIM and making it a collaborative process. So for learning the BIM, what I will suggest you, just go to our page and called INV and register those courses that you found on the website, And more, if you want to ask about how can you improve in BIMS, start learning and reading books and watching contents on YouTube itself. But what these contents are, they are not related to the live projects. That's actually missing. And what we are trying to do here, we link all those live projects from the actual live projects and make a module or the course out of it, so that the students get to learn more from it, right? So if you are learning a specific tool called the Revit architecture, suppose you can say that. So what's Revit architecture? You get to learn how to make a building, but that's not how the BIM is. It's not only to make a building or make a structure, but it's something more than that. That's what I have explained you in the BIM project workflow. So that is how the process is all about, the BIM process is all about. So it's not if you are just trying to learn from a content or making, yeah. Okay. अच्छा बड़ा कर ठीक है So you can learn from various sources. I'd like to. So you'll have to learn from various sources about what BIM is, and there's a lot of free stuffs and free contents available online for all of you guys. But the whole thing is about learning is about making mistakes, and unless and until you make mistake, you can't learn anything. So you have to make a mistake, and that's okay. Just a minute. So actually, I got one more question from a person named Sauradeep Ray. So during structure analysis of a model, can rely on the BIM related softwares apart from ETABS? If yes, which one? Yeah. So there are different collaborative tools that can be used with the softwares. So those tools can be of like ETABS. Other than ETABS, there are StatPro or the robot structure analysis or the SAP 2000. These tools also have the interoperability between the softwares that we use to model, and what we model and how we model from how we create a model is through the Revit itself. So we make a model on Revit, and that model is being transferred to the ETABS, and in the ETABS we do the structure analysis part. And in the structure analysis, as you all know, there's a load combinations or the load cases that has to be assigned on that, and those load combinations and cases can be put on the cloud as well. So if you want to do a structure analysis of a model, you can done it through with the help of Revit, and then that model is being transferred to the ETABS or to the robot structure analysis or to the StatPro itself. But the results may vary a little bit. The results won't be as accurate as you can find it with the help of ETABS. Okay. So with the help of ETABS, you get the accurate results. Slide bias, please. Which one?
The speech you were going through the slides after answering the query.
Yeah. So I hope I am able to clear your answers. One more question I got from Pragya Sinha. Where can I learn about BIM? Is there any institution which provide courses about it? Yes, obviously that is INV. And what we are trying to achieve here, we are not just letting you educate. We are trying to educate you or providing you contents of the BIM. We are focusing on giving you the challenges that you can face, and from those challenges you get to learn a lot more. So how the content would look like? The content can be of the video or in the PPT formats that will be distributed to all of you, and you can watch those contents, and at the end of it you also perform the quizzes, and in the quizzes we evaluate you on the basis of your performance and the time spent on that particular content. Okay, and what after that, on the quizzes we assess you at the end of it. We provide you the challenges. The challenges is of the real case scenario. Suppose that you live in a Kolkata or in a West Bengal region. If you have any project out of it, or any project that you know, you can upload those files in our portal, and we will give you a challenge and that how you can incorporate BIM into that project. Okay, so let's take an example of a real estate firm. If you have any if you have any colleague who is working in a real estate firm and you want to showcase him about what BIM is and how actually you can do or make them visualize the entire building before it's getting constructed actual on the site, right? So isn't it amazing that the owner gets to see and look in his own house, and we make it in a virtual manner, and that's when the virtual reality and the augmented reality comes in, steps in. So it's more of a collaborative platform in which we engage the students and the industry people as well. The students get to learn from it, and the industry people gets to extract the talented students from with the help of our portal that we have already designed it right now. So soon the contents will be live. Soon the contents will be shown to the students. So there are more queries that I'm looking at it. Can you please explain various LODs? Okay, so you're getting in detail now. So LODs, detail. That means LOD is like level of detail. So what is level of detail? Level of detail can be of the 5 types. If I try to explain it in general terms, there's a LOD 100, 200, 300, 400 and 500. Like there are 5 types of LODs, and the LOD 100 is of the conceptual stage. Just you got to look at something, यानी कि एक कोई चीज आपको देखने मिल रही है या दिख रही है, that is LOD 100. So can you give an example what things you can see? That example can be of the SketchUp or the 3D Max, in which you will just see a model or just see a project, right? Then what is LOD 200? LOD 200 is the documentation part, where you get to see the sizes of all the model. Suppose X on the 2D platform, right? So LOD 200 is of a detail that contains the sizes, and LOD 300 is something that contains the more information of sizes plus the images plus the model plus the material itself. That is LOD 300, and LOD 400 is actually used for the construction site. LOD 400 consists of the sizes of the building or the dimensions that a building consists of, and also it contains the materials that a building has. Suppose there's a wall, and you can see the wall, you can see the plaster outside it, you can see what type of brick inside that wall is, you can see what standard of brick is used or what's the size of a brick. You can also check what are the quantities of brick that the model contains. That is LOD 400 part. And in the LOD 500 part, that is used for the facility management or the operations part. And the LOD 500 part contains all of these plus the manufacturer name. Suppose let's take an example of a pipe. So pipe has a material, and pipe can be of a PVC material. It has a diameter, it has an external or internal diameter. It also has the manufacturer name with it. It also has the warranty attached with it. Okay, so LOD 500 consists of the materials, the sizes, the warranties, the manufacturer name, the people who are involved with it, or the person who is actually executing it at the site. So these are the different types of LODs, and this is what we ask from the clients to, or this is what we ask from the clients. So they have to define the LOD first, on which LOD they want to make the project. Suppose it's an LOD 100 project. So what kind of project can be done for the LOD 100 itself? Suppose there is an expo or a presentation purpose that is only used for the presentation purpose. Suppose there is an idea or a concept that is to be presented to the stakeholder or the clients. So then you will use the LOD 100 concept. And where the LOD 500 applies, LOD 500 applies on the hospitality part, on the hospitality management. Okay, so LOD 500 contains all the information required by the customer to the owner, as well as in the operations and the maintenance phase as well. There's one more query I am getting from Rajat Saha. I am a student of third year civil engineering student. How can I see myself in future by learning BIM? Yeah, so now you are going towards the job roles that you can see in the BIM itself. The job roles can be of different types, starting from the Revit modeler or the BIM modeler. You can move up to the BIM coordinator, in which you will coordinate between various disciplines like the architecture model or the structure modeler or the MEP modeler. These people are being coordinated by a BIM coordinator, and then you can move on for the BIM project manager. After being a good BIM project manager, you can also, there are job opportunities coming out called as the BIM data scientist. And the BIM data scientist is ultimately what everyone is looking for, who is a scientist itself and is known, he knows how to incorporate the data in a BIM model, right? So if I'll tell you, there's a lot more job opportunities coming for you, for all of you, for all the students who are presently a diploma student or an engineering or even the pass out. There are a lot of opportunities that are coming right now, and the places like USA, UK, the Middle East or the Singapore or the Malaysia, these countries have opened their way to grab those students from India itself, because as we all know, Indians are what people from outside call India. That is nothing but the cheap labor. We get to work in a very cheap price, right? So what's something I would like to share about it. Suppose there's a project which is to be performed on $100 in USA. That project is being performed and being done at only $5 in India. Why? Because there's much more demand and the skills required in this sector. So these are the various job profiles that will be coming in the few months, or it's already being coming right now. I think I'm clear to the Rajat Saha about that question. Sir, BIM means building information modeling, but how can we relate it to other projects apart from building projects? Example, road projects, flyover projects. Okay. Huh? Yeah, this question is being asked by Shubham Chakrabarti. Yes, so BIM is not only for the buildings, BIM is also for the infrastructure part. So for the buildings, you use various software tools that is most demanding are the Revit, AutoCAD, Navisworks and the Primavera. And for the infrastructure, you use various software tools like Civil 3D, Navisworks, InfraWorks and Lumion and so on. So the BIM is not just limited for buildings, it's more for the infrastructure itself, infrastructure part as well. Let's take an example of calculating something. If you feed a sum or a problem on a computer, the computer is able to answer analyze it and answer it accordingly, right? Suppose there is a multiplication or a long step of multiplication, addition, and subtraction is have to be performed by a computer itself. The computer can easily do that, right? But if we take an example of the traffic system in India, can a computer or a machine will be able to plan and design a traffic system? Isn't it? Yes, it's possible. A computer or a machine is able to plan and give us solutions and give the design options to us if we feed him the proper data, the proper input. Right? He will give us the routes from where the maximum traffic will be, or where the traffic flow is more or less accordingly. You can also visualize the infrastructure part or the infrastructure in the various software tools that I have already shared with you or told with you, like InfraWorks and Civil 3D. Okay, so if there's any more question you guys want to ask. Yeah, there's one more question by Arnab Mahdi. What is the position ETABS in workflow of BIM? What is the position of ETABS? Actually, the question is, what is the position ETABS in workflow of BIM? Actually, I'm not getting what kind of question it is. I'm assuming like you want to say that how the ETABS play a role in BIM. That I have already answered with you. Now, that I have already answered that ETABS play a role and interoperability between the various software tools. So these are the various software tools. Yeah, these are the software tools for the architecture, for the structure, for the sustainability, for the MEP, for the facility management, for the construction estimating. Okay, the Revit has the most number of interoperability between all these softwares, right? So Revit itself play an interoperability part between with the AutoCAD, with the StatPro, with the ETABS, with the Navisworks, with the Lumion, or with the SketchUp or the 3ds Max. You can export the model from Revit, you can import the model into the Revit with the help of few add-ins that is already being made by, yes, those few add-ins are being made by computer engineers or the IT persons. That's how they step into the construction industry. So as the architects or the civil engineers are stepping into the IT sector, the IT sector and the computer engineers are also stepping into the construction itself, the construction part. Okay. Yeah, you can make a full screen.
Get back on full screen.
Yeah, one more important part about BIM is that we are moving towards an area where we are creating design options not by ourselves only, but with the help of machines as well. So let's take an example. If a owner comes to an owner comes to a client or an architect for making his own house, right? So what architects do, architects provide them the design options. Like suppose you have a 2 BHK or the 3 BHK house, or you want how your home will look like, right? So this is something that architects have to look for and provide a design options for it. But now these things are already being automated and being done by something called Project Fractal. So what Project Fractal is, we make an algorithm or the project logic in the Dynamo. We linked up with a model in the Revit, and that with the help of Revit and the Dynamo, we export that model to the Project Fractal online. And what Project Fractal gives us is the list of design options uh, available to us, so that we can analyze it and choose the best possible option for it. Right? Suppose there's a building we want to consider. Let's take an example of a flat scheme. A flat scheme having a facade that can be of any shape, and if we link up with the Dynamo and then export it to the Project Fractal, the Project Fractal is being able to give us a solution that these are the certain set of design options provided by the machine itself, and the machine knows how to give the best feasible option out of it, and then the architects used to analyze it and then give to the customer or the client. That's how the BIM industry is being working around. So the major part is that we need to get collaborated. The architect, the structure engineers, the MEP persons, and the AutoCAD draftsmen or the planning engineers, all of these persons needs to be collaborated and work on a project. So how this collaboration part is to be done, it's only be done with the help of a BIM. If there is a BIM, there's only a collaboration is being performed. If there's no BIM, then how can you try to collaborate between these stakeholders? Isn't it? You try to call someone and say like, just get me the drawings, and I didn't have those drawings available, so how can I execute the project? That's what a site engineer will say about it. Or the certain amount of, or a certain period of time, the site engineer gets to know that drawings are already been revised. Isn't it? So there is no proper flow of communication between the architect or the structure engineer or the MEP draftsman. So how this communication or this communication can be collaborated and conveyed the ideas to the site itself, right? So this can only be possible with the help of BIM. I got few more questions from Mr. Shubham Chakrabarti. Sir, I have heard one word, Revisto and BIM. Can you please explain it? Yeah. So what is Revisto? Revisto is a visualization tool that is used by most of the construction industry professionals, or I can say mostly by the BIM professionals. So what Revisto does, we make a model on the Revit, and that Revit model is being exported to Revisto. And what is Revisto? In Revisto, it's like just playing a game. Most of the people have already played a game like Counter-Strike, isn't it? So what we do in Counter-Strike, we go to inside the building and we look for the people for killing them, right? But instead, we are not killing people here. We are just trying to identify the defects in a model that it contains. Maybe the paint, or maybe the structural beam or the column that is misplaced or out of the form. That's how we can visualize a structure. It's just by going there and clicking on a particular element, we get to see the information that it contains, right? Suppose if we go there and click on a beam, you will get to see what the beam has to offer. Beam has the size, the beam has the material that it contains, that is concrete, and also the outer and internal plaster of that beam is being shown to us. What family type it belongs to and what's the idea of that beam is. I think I'm able to answer this question, what Revisto does. It will be more better for me to explain this virtually. If you come on a portal or try to connect with me on the Facebook or the LinkedIn, I can show you how it's being done through my Facebook INB page, right? Let me see if there are any more questions. No, I think I am able to answer all of your questions that has been asked. Yeah, I'd like to thank all the viewers for such sessions. Get to the updates on our Facebook for more updates from time to time, right? So if there are any questions to the from the students, they can ask on the Facebook itself. They can comment. They can also like to our page, and they can comment and share. And I request all of you to please like, share and subscribe this video, so that this is my first video for the live session. So I'll be able to create more videos in the near future. Thank you.